What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room channel. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe below. Let's get us to 400 subscribers as soon as we can. Now today we have obviously seen a crazy going on with the centre-half position. We've all known that we've needed one, and we've got a video going out about Ben Davies, which will probably be out before this. But now we're going to be discussing Ozan Kabak, and who better to do it with than the Bundesliga expert, Mr. Derek Rae, commentator on FIFA 21 and all things brilliant like that. What an absolute legend. Thank you so much, Derek, for getting in touch. I'll pass over to future me to do that interview. Thank you very much, past me. And today we are joined by Mr. Derek Rae, voice of FIFA 20 and legend of football commentary, to discuss Ozan Kabak. Now, a man who has obviously had his difficulties in the Bundesliga for a young man. But firstly, Derek, when he first burst onto the scene, what did you think of the young Turkish centre-half?
Well, hello, first of all, Chris. Good to see you. When I first saw him, I thought, this is a real talent. This is somebody who can make it big in the game. That, of course, wasn't with Schalke. That was when he was at Stuttgart. And he came into the side and he looked as though he'd been playing Bundesliga football his entire life. And I think everybody in Germany at the time thought this is somebody who is going to end up at a big club somewhere along the line. Now, of course, the initial part of the plan got derailed after he had joined Stuttgart from the Galatasaray system. He'd played already for Galatasaray, so quite precocious as a young defender. But Stuttgart got themselves relegated by means of losing the playoff against Union. So that meant a switch to Schalke. And he did well for Schalke initially last season, got a bad injury around February time, which obviously didn't help him. But if you're looking at just the broad talent, if you're looking at what he does, how he plays, what his potential is, then you're talking about somebody about whom we certainly would rave as pundits.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of having a team like Schalke, obviously they've had a pretty torrid season. Would you say that that's a warning sign for Liverpool if they are going to sign Ozan Kabak, or would you say that it's something that they just need to brush off?
I think they need to forget about this season because it has been a horror show for everyone at Schalke. Now, Kabak, I would say, has been particularly poor. I mean, I don't think he's had pass marks in any game that I've watched, and I've watched pretty much all of them. So I think you can say this is one to write off. I mean, we can't shy away from it. We have to talk about the spitting incident as well against Ludwig Augustinsson of Werder Bremen early in the season, which meant a 5-match ban for Kabak. And there's no excuse for that. And nobody would try to make an excuse for that. So when you take that into account and then the playing side of it, it's just really been an awful season for him and for Schalke. But they have always known that this is an asset who they would have to at some point sell on. Because remember, Schalke, big traditional club, huge following, but in huge financial peril. And the pandemic really has not helped matters at all. We're talking here, way in excess of 200 million euro in debt. And they had to sell Weston McKennie, one of their other assets, very good young American player, to Juventus last summer. And it has always been a case of waiting for the time to sell on Kabak. And it could well be the time is now.
Do you think that McKennie himself could be a model for Kabak? Because he's gone on to Juventus and really had a successful start and is being heralded as one of the most impressive players this season.
Yeah, I think McKennie at Schalke maybe had a slightly different history. He'd been there longer, had come through their youth ranks. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. He's gone on to Juventus and he's done well so far, albeit still early. So, Kabak will be ready for this. We shouldn't forget, too, that Stuttgart and Schalke are two pressure cooker clubs. I mean, they are two really huge clubs that there might be a tendency for people to think, well, Stuttgart, what have they won in recent times? Don't forget, they won the Bundesliga just over a decade ago. In normal times, these are clubs who sell out their grounds, and we're talking more than 50,000 in the case of Stuttgart, and we're talking 60,000 in the case of Schalke. And the everyday soap opera is very real at both clubs, I would say, especially at Schalke. So you go through a lot as a young player. And remember, Galatasaray before that, that is no picnic either when it comes to media scrutiny. So we're talking about a young player, but somebody who is battle hardened.
Definitely. And finally, to finish things off, how do you see it going for Kabak at Liverpool? Do you think he'll go immediately into the first team? And how much of an impact maybe will the likes of Virgil van Dijk have on him as he develops into an older man and a better centre half?
I think it would probably benefit him not to go straight into the first team. I think a young player needs time to imbibe his new surroundings. It's a different league with a different pace and a different culture. I think it's a good point about Virgil van Dijk. I think he will certainly be a real asset and an educator for young Kabak. Remember, Van Dijk, as a young player, I watched him, went to Celtic from the Netherlands. And you might say, well, that wasn't a huge step up in terms of the football level, but it arguably was in terms of the football cultural level and what you have to withstand day in, day out. And he did that as a young player. And I think would tell you now that that was good for him. And he had good role models there who were able to show him the ropes in terms of how you go to that next level. So I think Van Dijk will be very important when it comes to Kabak. Of course, as we speak now, nothing is formally done, but following developments in the last hour or so, it does look as though the other piece of the puzzle, which has to happen for this to go through, namely Mustafi going to Schalke, that is probably going to go through now. So it's looking a lot better in terms of the Kabak to Liverpool part of the equation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Derek, for helping us out on such short notice as well. And everyone go drop Derek a follow at Raycom on Twitter and listen to his great commentary on FIFA 21. And yeah, pass it over now to myself in the future to be doing an outro. That's all right, past Chris. And now we are back and we are finishing this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to subscribe. That'd be so greatly appreciated. LFC Transfer Room welcomes you all with open arms. I'll see you next time.